RAM prices are through the roof, consoles are ditching physical media, and AI is probably going to take your job. But I think the solution might actually be a little plastic toy from 1992, the humble Fireball. Now, the reason I'm holding this nostalgic toy from 1992 is actually because of the increase in the Steam Deck price. This was like a couple months ago, and I made a tweet saying, I mean this in the most sincere way, and I love video games, but it's time to pick up an analog hobby. Now, the image I posted with that was of this. It's a Yomega Fireball. This wasn't the only yo-yo out at the time, but it was definitely one of the more popular ones because it was cheap enough that if you were a kid, you could afford it, but it was expensive enough that they were able to put a trans axle into it. It's a plastic axle yo-yo. I know it's frustrating to watch a person hold a toy and not actually use it. Throw a sleeper. Obviously not for very long because this had a plastic axle. So in that post I showed the Yomega Fireball, but I decided to actually put my money where my mouth is and buy an actual Yomega Fireball. This one is a bit more expensive because I couldn't really find it in this red color unless I bought it in this set. And in this set you actually get a Yomega brain which comes back by itself, a spectrum which actually lights up when you spin it around, and of course this Fireball, which is the classic one that you're more likely to actually do tricks with. But just to be clear, this is not a video about yo-yos. This is a video about analog hobbies and finding something you can do that will be resistant to anything that happens in the world of AI developments or just, RAM getting too expensive to even make it possible to buy your own machine to play video games, or the loss of physical media so they can just take games away from you whenever they want to and charge you loads more money so that they can make sure that you stay in the system and work and blah, blah, blah. Just trying to gain a little bit more control in our lives. Something really simple, like this Fireball, really is the key. And it's not just about yo-yos. I also want to talk about other things, maybe in a future video of like all the other things you can do. I really got into Rubik's Cubes. I don't know if it was last year or the year before. And I absolutely love playing with these all the time. And the fact is, one of the most amazing things about them is that they're not connected to the internet. I think some of them probably can. But this one's not connected to the internet. As long as I can maintain it properly, I can keep playing it, no matter how much the company that makes them wants to change the prices it costs to subscribe to the Rubik's Cube service. We don't have things like that. You just buy the cube and you just play with it. Obviously, they could increase the prices of new cubes going forward, and there's not much you can do about that. I guess at that point, you're talking about making your own Rubik's Cube, which I don't think is impossible. Obviously, it's not impossible to 3D print this sort of thing. But again, this video is not about yo-yos, and it's not actually about Rubik's Cubes. It's just about making sure that you have an analog hobby that you can fall back on if AI takes your job, or if the prices for video gaming go through the roof and you can't afford it, or if they just take away your game licenses because technically they're allowed to. Like, oh, the license ran out, so technically we can't even provide it to you anymore, so I guess you can't have it anymore. It's like, what? Don't take my games away from me. Now, one important thing here is that I definitely don't want to say that something like this completely replaces video games. I think it's really important that we do fight for video game preservation and all that. We don't want to be like, oh, well, it's okay, you can do whatever you want with video games because I don't even need them. It's like, obviously, video games are really important, and I mean, personally, I really love video games because I wrote my thesis on music in Final Fantasy VII, so I consider video games like very serious places to express narrative, to tell stories, to share experiences. So I'm not saying that these toys replace video games. I just think it's really important to have something to fall back on because it makes you feel a little bit more relaxed, knowing that, okay, things are coming and they're going to take away my games. They're going to take away my music. They're going to take away all these things that I like, that I'm addicted to. Like, imagine if they said they're going to take away YouTube and you'll have to watch only Twitch streams. Actually, I like Twitch, but imagine if they just said they're going to take away the thing that you're addicted to. It's difficult to deal with that because it's not even 100% your fault that you're addicted to watching YouTube videos, or it's not even really your fault that you're addicted to playing video games. These things are built to be highly, highly addictive. I'm just saying that knowing this, you can gain a bit more control back in your life if you pick up some of these analog hobbies. Some of the other ones I want to talk about are drawing and playing guitar. I've started up a sub-channel where I talk about music and I play my guitar. And guitar is just one of those things that massively reduces my anxiety about the future, because no matter what they do with prices and stuff, it's like, this is just a physical device not connected to the internet. And it's just fun to play. Like, it wouldn't be ideal if they cut the internet off. It wouldn't be ideal if they made video games disappear. But I do have a small feeling of calm somewhere inside me, knowing that if they did take all of these things away, I could still play music from what I remember, and I could still improvise and compose new stuff. I could still learn new techniques on Yo-Yo. I could still try to get faster times trying to solve the Rubik's Cube and that sort of thing. Hold on. Every time you fiddle with the cube, you break it, so you have to like fix it, otherwise you feel kind of OCD about it. The humble Yomega Fireball is such an amazing reminder that you can have a lot of fun not reliant on someone who provides fun for you. And I'm not saying that it replaces video games at all. Definitely not saying that. But there's something very powerful about an analog hobby, because it gives you something that you forgot that you could just get for yourself, which is enjoyment and just satisfaction from progressing and getting better at it, because it's a skill toy. In fact, when you think about all the examples I've shown today, yo-yos, cubing, guitar, drawing, they're all skill-based activities, which I think are quite a lot of fun, even if you're not particularly good at them. But there's also kind of no ceiling to any of these activities. Really, what I wanted to show in this video is that I did put my money where my mouth was, and I bought this specific one, which was what I posted in the tweet, which was a Yomega Fireball. But the truth is, I don't even know if they make new fireballs. I think they are still producing them, but it's not really the most popular yo-yo out there anymore because, you know, it did have a plastic transaxle in it. People would buy this for the nostalgia. They still sell them, like even Yodobashi Camera in Tokyo. But the more advanced version of the fireball is this. It's a Yo-Yo Factory Loop 720. They're practically identical, like almost exactly the same shape. And it's because I think they discovered really early on with the fireball, like, this is a great shape for looping tricks. Here's a forward pass, here's a loop. Just for the nostalgia, I'll show you how the brain works. Throw the yo-yo down, and then eventually it just kind of brings itself back up. And it's because of these springs in here. I think it's important to understand where video games sit in your life, and that you're no less of a gamer if you're not playing games all the time. Definitely as a creator myself, doing things that are not video gaming, sometimes when I don't play games in my back catalog, I'm kind of like, oh my god, am I still a gamer? And it's like, yes, I love games, and I think they're incredibly special. That doesn't change the fact that I think they are being slightly weaponized by companies, and I think they're taking advantage of the fact that we have so much respect for games. They're like, these people will pay anything for these games, and they'll jump on any subscription service we throw at them because they just love how amazing gaming is. And the thing is, gaming is amazing, but you have to recognize that at some point, these companies do take advantage of us. Although one solution is to just not buy games anymore and stick it to the man. It's like, no, I want to keep gaming in my life and I want to keep playing them. But I also want to have control over when I'm able to enjoy myself. And picking up something like an analog hobby just massively gives you so much control back into your life in a world where it just feels like everything is out of control and like insane. And I think the main reason why I posted on X that day wasn't to say like analog hobbies are better than video games. Like, I obviously love video games, but we do get to this point where we forget how obsessed we are with them, and we forget that we are also very empowered to enjoy our lives without the thing that needs to be provided to us by our great big overlords. Sometimes they have the power and the money to make amazing things that we probably wouldn't have had otherwise, but other times I think they let that power go to their head, and we demonstrate how crazy it makes us by posting online and saying, oh my god, it's all over, all the amazing things that I wanted to do, I won't be able to afford to do them. And yes, it's stressful And to some extent, we should definitely fight back when they make decisions that we think are unfair. But something we can do to remain empowered is to like control where our enjoyment comes from and not let it turn into a dependence on something. And at the moment, I think sometimes when we post online, we sound like we are insanely dependent on these companies to be happy at all. And yes, if the prices go up and if preservation dies, those are serious issues. But actually, in the interim, there's quite a lot we can do to stay in control. And the more that we are in control, the less that they can kind of take advantage of us, because they're like, haha, we can raise the prices to whatever we want. It's like, actually, if we all acted a little bit more in control, and I'm not saying people are acting way out of control, I'm just saying the more that we demonstrate that we're able to control ourselves, the less they'll feel like they can really just raise the prices and do whatever they want to us. Like, yeah, I understand that the RAM prices are high, and I understand the whole thing with the RAM cartel, but don't make it sound like these companies are the victims here. Definitely a part of when they make these decisions is, okay, we're going to make this difficult decision to increase the prices, but we think that, most people will probably still buy it anyway. And when they start to feel comfortable and that they can rest on their laurels like that, that's when things start to spiral out of control. Enjoying video games when you can, but also having a broad range of other things that you do, like skill-based hobbies or cheap analog toys or just general things like writing, being creative. There's so many things we could talk. I could spend like a million hours. I really want to make it clear that I'm not saying that video games are a worse form of entertainment or anything. I love video games. I want to be able to continue playing them. But I think that the more reliance and dependence you show, the more that they can take advantage of us. But if they thought, okay, well, people are pretty level-headed. If we raise prices, they might not buy from us. In fact, they might flame us on the internet and really kick up a fuss about things like killing off physical media. I think a lot of companies looked at the numbers for the decisions that they made, and they're just like, well, obviously this is going to be an unpopular decision, but I think we can get away with it. If, on the whole, we showed that we are not that heavily reliant on them for our own happiness, and that we are balanced people with video games on our lives, but also movies, but also books, but also writing, also creative endeavors, also music, also skill-based toys, also socializing in real life and having conversations and learning, academia, all of these other things. I think if we could show that we are in control still, that they won't feel that they can continue just getting away with all the things that they do. Namely, killing off physical media, raising prices through the roof, that sort of thing. So, jump in the comments and tell me, do you think that analog hobbies are a sufficient way to maintain control of your happiness in an uncertain world with digital entertainment that we don't know when it can be taken away from us at any point? Or do you feel like this is just not good enough? Really, we just need to have full control over all digital things, and we need to make sure that there's no way that they can take it away from us because it's a much higher form of entertainment. I'd love to hear your thoughts. But before we end, I really do want to actually show you a few tricks. Sleeper. Spinning like this. Rock the baby. Cradle, baby, rock, rock, rock. The star. It's a star. Next trick, loop the loop. Wow! Ah, oh my goodness. Alright, for nostalgic purposes, obviously the Fireball is amazing, but if you need a looping yo-yo, I think maybe a looped 720 is going to be a much easier place to start. So I'll just show you this Spectrum, which actually, when I got this out of the box, I think this box was actually from 20 years ago, and it had like leaking battery acid all over the inside of here. How great is that? I think it actually spins longer than the Fireball. Anyway, go out there, pick an analog hobby, or pick up an old analog hobby that you used to have, and feel empowered. I've been NihongoGamer. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I'll see you real soon.